Hi there, Jeffrey Rhoades from Experimental Homesteader, Exotic Gardening, and Sheri and Richerson.com. Please subscribe, hit that join button, join our membership. Leave us some comments below. We do like comments. We do read them. We do try to respond to them. Well, like I said yesterday, we didn't accomplish a lot yesterday because we spent almost 2 hours basically. Actually, I think we spent 2 hours once you figure in the return trip, dealing with going out to 1812. But today we got up, slept in a little bit, got up, got out there, got more stuff cleaned up, as far as the little shed that we had, that we've torn down now. And a friend came over and started helping us, and we took down some fencing, and the intent was to move the fencing and section off part of the pasture back there to make an area where the goats could get out and run around, but without getting over into areas that we don't want them in, because we've got some spots where the fencing needs repair work. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to make it secure, and earlier when we were letting the goats out, they were getting over the fence in areas, getting out where they weren't secure. They just, and it's not necessarily a huge deal in some ways, but we don't want our animals roaming around in the neighborhood, getting out into the road, possibly getting hit, possibly causing a accident. We want them secured within our property, and at the moment the fencing just is not secure in some areas. So we were taking some fencing down to move it, to make a secure area for the goats and the chickens, because the chickens have been out several times. It hasn't really been too big of a problem with the chickens. They stay fairly contained, without too much trouble. But the goats, on the other hand, they've, especially Ferdinand, he loves attention. He wants pets and hugs and this type of stuff. So he's like a puppy dog, and he goes over the fence to get to us so that he can, get attention. I've watched him go over a section of the fencing out there that just, he climbed up the hog panels right up and over, and I watched him do it and went, so I'm trying to section off an area so they can't get over to the hog panels. They can't get into some of the trouble spot areas until I can get them cleaned up, get the fencing fixed up, and make them a more secure area. But we got the fencing down. We pulled the fence posts up, but when I went to start driving the fence posts, that ground out there is just so hard. It's a hard pack. We have not had much in the way of rain recently, so it is dry and just, hard. We have a lot of clay in the yard, and it just, I was hitting it with the fence post driver, and just pounding away with fence post driver, and those fence posts just were not moving. they were not digging into the ground like they should have. I mean, I was hitting them hard with that thing, and it just was not making progress. So, it got late enough that we decided to stop. But in the process of taking down the fencing, we also cleaned up a lot of brush that was out in that area. We piled a lot of the stuff into the back of the truck. It's small pieces of wood, small branches, stuff that can be broken up, thrown into the wood burner as kindling, and get a fire going. We also picked up a few pieces that were bigger. There's at least 3 pieces out there that are fairly long, not huge in diameter, but big enough. I can hit them with the chainsaw, chop them into manageable pieces, and we've got, several hours worth of wood there that we can use, and it's dry enough and been down for long enough that it's usable immediately. So I'm trying to get, several days worth of wood set aside. I still need to clean up my area where I have some pallets where I stack my wood. And that's going to be, the pallets that are right outside the door are for wood that is good to go, ready. I can burn it right away. I'm going to put some pallets up on our little hill. I've got a section of fence run. I'm going to put the pallets against the fencing and stack the wood that needs to season on those pallets. And I'm going to try and get a good pile of wood needing to be seasoned up there. I also still need to get out. I've got to get our small splitter out to split some of the small stuff. We've got a friend that's willing to loan us a bigger splitter, and I've got to get that over here and use it because the neighbor across the street has a whole bunch of wood that is larger, needs split, and it's ours for the taking. Once we get it split down, it can be brought over and piled up, and by next season it'll be good to go. So I've just got to get his wood splitter over here and just crank through splitting the wood, because some of what's over across the street is good sized, and we've got some pieces here that are good sized pieces. They just need to be split down into something manageable, because right now they just, and they're getting old enough that, if I don't use them soon, they're not going to be worth anything at all. They're not going to be usable because they'll be too rotted. But I'm working on it, and we appreciated the friend coming over and helping. We didn't get as far as we wanted to. We got the fence down, but we didn't get it back up because I was having problems driving those fence posts. But hopefully by next weekend, what would be nice is either a little bit of rain to soften up that ground, or I may run a hose out there and soak the ground with a hose for several hours and see if I can't get it just softened up enough that I can get those fence posts driven, and then let it dry and run that fencing, because I'd like to, by next weekend, be able to get the goats out and let them run around. That way I can, get their stalls cleaned up a little better, get the barn cleaned up, get, things situated for this fall and going into winter, and, have a much better positioning going through the winter. But having somebody come over and help has been a big bonus. It's helping me to get motivated to do some of this work. It gives me, extra set of hands that I've been struggling with because I've been trying to do a lot of these projects on my own, by myself, and it just does not work. It's too much work for one person, and some of it's too difficult to try to balance things, trying to stick a fence post into the ground, balance it while I get the fence post driver on top of it so I can drive it into the ground. It's difficult. It really takes a second person to hold that fence post just long enough to get the driver on it, but be able to hold it steady while I'm getting the fence post driver on it. So, but we'll see what happens this week. I did get the wood burner cleaned out. I had done the chimney a couple days, last weekend I think it was. I got up on the roof and I had cleaned out the chimney on the outside, but I hadn't cleaned from the wood burner out to the chimney through the wall. And when I opened it up today, found a bird live inside the piping. So I had to force the bird out. I opened up my clean out on the chimney and opened up inside the house, put a barrier up so as to push the bird back toward that opening, and the bird flew away. I just didn't want the bird in the house, and I didn't want to, harm the bird either. So, but I got everything closed up, got the wood burner cleaned out. I have put some wood in it to see if I can get a fire going and see if we can't start burning some wood in the wood burner to take the edge off the temperature in the house and not use up a lot of electricity to do it. Because one of the things we have, it's all baseboard heating in the house, so our electric bill gets kind of outrageous once in a while. But with the wood burner, that cuts our heating bills by quite a bit because we're not using the baseboard heaters as much. They're not struggling to heat the entire house. We can crank the temperature down a little bit on those and use the wood burner to circulate hot air. The issue is the fact that the office, there's several turns and doorways to get out to the office, so we have to set up some fans to draw the air from the wood burner into the main part of the house. So, once again, using up some electricity, but not as bad as the baseboard heaters. So, but anyways, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Once again, please subscribe. Give us thumbs up, thumbs down, comments below, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Stay safe out there.